he ended up going early the following season when they went down.
I've got another player for you. I don't obviously he plays for Celtic and his name's Matt O'Reilly. He's like a box to box, but then he's a bit more of an attacking midfielder, right? And in 29 games this season, he's got like 14 goals and 19 assists.
I know everyone. You're looking at him now, Napoli. Sorry to put in, Napoli were looking at him,
All right, well there you go then. But I mean, I know everyone's going to turn around and go, "Oh, it's the Scottish League. It's like fucking League One level, blah blah blah." But for someone like Celtic, you don't get in 30 games, you don't get fucking double-figure goals and nearly 20 odd assists. Do you know what I mean? And I think he's only about 23, 24. So he's someone who could be. But again, as you just said, Napoli might be looking at him. Does he want to travel to Italy, or does he want to move a couple of 100 miles down the road?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's worth a punch of signs to go for these players and taking a chance with them. You know what I mean?
The difficulty we've got here, and we're all forgetting it, is who's going to be signing these players? Because apparently Thelwell's fucking going at the end of the season, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah. So believe.
I wonder, Dave, if they leave it up to the manager.
They'll have to do something, aren't they? They'll have to put something in place.
Because I think Dyche, if you look at like some of the Burnley transfers over the last however many years, 10 years or so, he was doing everything on a budget, but he was finding people who were working for him, like a Dwight McNeil. You'd look at Dwight McNeil and you'd think, oh, he's a bag of shit, him. But he works his ass off. And, Tarkowski, Ben Mee. You looked at Tarkowski and Ben Mee 3-4 years ago and thought the two of them are a crop of shite. They don't stand out. They're not your Van Dijks. They're not your fucking, John Terry's, your Rio Ferdinand. But they were getting goals and they were getting clean sheets because they were workhorses. And that's what this club. As soon as Micheri come in and Usmanov come in with money, Everton were going out trying to buy fancy flair players to try and make us look sexy football. When they lost the mentality of having workhorses like Kale, like Pienaar, like what my favourite. I'm 33. One of my favourite players the last 10, 15 years was Stephen Naismith, because Stephen Naismith ran himself into the ground every single game, and that's what the philosophy of this club has gone. You need people who are dogs, who are angry, who are fucking horrible bastards. Like a Carsley, Gravison, people like that, who'll take the game by the scruff of the neck. They might not be fancy names, they might not stand out, they might not be your 30, 40, 50 million signings, but you can guarantee they're going to work their ass off every game.
I agree with that. The dogs are like players that we need, but I still think we need one of them creative midfielders. You look up like the time when we had James Rodriguez, once in a lifetime thing with someone like him. But I still think we need someone who can create the goals as well. Do you know what I mean? I look at, like, yesterday I was watching Garner Gay. He's unbelievable for us, and I say what Mark says. He's probably the best midfielder that we've got. He is. He's everywhere. And he's probably is the oldest. Is Gomez older than him, Dave? Is he?
No, I think Garner's the oldest. 34, isn't
he? Yeah, I mean, to be honest, he's absolutely brilliant. And I just think if we can listen, I agree with what Jack said at the start about giving Dyche give him a chance going into next season. And then one point you just made then, Danny, over the clean sheets. Have we had a lot more clean sheets this season than we've had over the last couple of seasons?
Well, we will have, but we've got the second most now, haven't we?
That's unbelievable.
There's only Arsenal who've got more clean sheets than us. So what you'd even look at there is you can say, right, okay, well, the last 2 seasons we've been letting goals in left, right, and centre. So what's the first thing Dyche has come in and done? Is clean that up. He's managed to find a way of stopping goals going in. Now we're creating chances left, right, and centre, but we haven't got anyone who can put the ball in the back of the net. So if we can go out, get another striker, maybe even give someone like, I think the likes of Dobbin, if Harrison and Danjuma go back, someone like Dobbin might have turned around and said, do you know what, lads, we're in a bit of a sticky situation. I can't risk playing you because of a player and it doesn't go right. We're a game down and we haven't gained any points. Like we were doing, was it last season under Lampard? And Coleman we were screaming out for Patterson to start, but he was playing Coleman every game. because it was the tried and tested. You knew what you were going to get with Coleman. He couldn't take the risk with Patterson in case he had a bad game. Either gave a foul away, gave a pen away, gave possession away for a goal, and then we were a game down, still chasing points. If the start pre-season and the start of the season, you've got 38 games. If you start dobbing for 3 or 4 and it doesn't work out, you've got 30 odd games to recuperate what you might have dropped. Whereas if he does it now, you've only got 4. So he's not taking the risk now on the off chance it doesn't work or it does work. Whereas if he waits till pre-season, he can say to him, right, okay, I'm not going to keep hold of Dan Juma. I'm not going to keep hold of Addison. I want you to start on, let's say, the right if he's going to keep McNeil on the left. And all through pre-season, Dobbin just plays consistently down the right. And if it gets to the start of the season and he's not progressing, then you can say, then Dyche has got the right to say, look, we've had a go. It's not really worked out. We're going to go and look at different options.
Yeah, it's a good point, mate.
Yeah, good points then, mate, to be honest with you.
Because it's the same with Schmidt. Apparently, like Roberto Martinez says, everyone in the under-20s of Portugal hanging out the back of Schmidt, saying he's going to be one of the best things since fucking sliced bread.
Yeah, that's a good point with Schmidt. I think the last couple of games when he's come on, I know he's only come on for a bit, Liverpool game yesterday, but he was putting himself about, wasn't he? I
He
think
done it against Forest,
well.
yeah. When he had that last 10 minutes against Forest, he looked a handful. He looked a proper handful. But we can't take the risk of playing him, because if we get into these chances and he doesn't score, and then the ball goes down the other end and we concede, we've either dropped 2 points from a winning position, or we've lost a point from a drawing position.
And this is the old thing that I've said, Dan. And obviously, Jamie's mentioning about playing these younger players, and and listen, of course, we want them to fucking come through. Branthwaite. I think Branthwaite. I'm not saying. I know he's a completely different player, but I just think these players who are special always shine at whatever age they are. You know what I mean? And then there's other players who need a little bit of coaxing along, need to be managed in the right way. And I think maybe Chimiti might be it. You never know. Next year, he could potentially make his breakthrough into the team. You just don't know. But I do, I do think sometimes you're actually you're wavering on actually absolutely blowing the confidence out the fucking water, aren't you? When you're putting them into a struggling team. And as I say, look, you could use the same analogy with Branthwaite, but the difference with Branthwaite is one, he's fucking 6 foot odd. He's built like a fucking brick shit house, but he's just head and shoulders above what's there. You know what I mean? And I think like Rooney, like other players who just stand out and shine. There's always other players who maybe just need a little bit more, like I say, a bit more coaching, a bit more cajoling along. It could be. Listen, you've got to play. He's got to play him at some point, has he? And the kid's got to break into the team. I know he's on the bench, but I want to see him because, like Jay said, and what I've seen when he has come on, he's made. He's done half decent. In the small spells that he had, but bringing him on at fucking 5 minutes to go or whatever, it's not fair on the kid, is it? Other than just to give him a bit of experience.
Do you think, Dave, and do you think obviously the situation that we're in now, if you beat Brentford, we're obviously going to be safe anyway, near enough. Do you think he might start giving the youngsters a chance?
I hope he does.
Yeah.
I hope he does, because that Lewis Warrington's been on the bench the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I know
I've been banging on about Mackenzie Hunt as well, Dan. He was on the bench last night. Luckily, we had Young to put him on for Michalenko, but he was the only left footer, I think, on the bench there. That might have been another option. But as Davey said this year, the week when we were playing Bournemouth, I think we need a left back, and Godfrey played there. And I phoned you, Dave, and you said to me, Jay, it's a too big a game. He won't risk the kids in them games. So if we get safe, I'd like to see him, as Dan said then, to play the youngsters going over the next couple of weeks to see how they get on, and we can have a look at them.
This is the thing, innit? As Fran said earlier, obviously there's possibly a bit of an announcement coming along around the academies and what have you. But we've not had our academy was probably one of the best around at one point. We're talking a few years ago, and obviously a lot of these other clubs, academies have caught up and become much much better than what we've had. And but again, we don't teach this pattern of play. I was talking last night to my boss, he's a Liverpool fan. But it was talking about the fact that I think Jack's mentioned it previously. I think you have, Jay, about from the academy level, they have a pattern of play. Every fucking team plays the same way, and yet we don't have that because you know, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I just don't know why the academy's not managed in the way that it should be. But it's just we've just been a crock of shit, haven't we? And that's the thing. Even from us as a first team, we haven't really got a pattern of play, have we?
That's the good point, even when you think about it. If you're playing like for Liverpool and Klopp's got one style of play, and you watch the players that they play, like I don't know, the certain ages, the youngster ages, they've been playing the way Klopp plays. So when Klopp brings them in, they'll
Yeah,
fit in the style of play that
that's
Klopp's
it,
got.
mate. Yeah,
When you
exactly.
watch
Yeah,
us, when you watch us, Dave, and you watch Sean Dyson, you watch what we play. You look at like as a Paul Tate, Leighton Baines, and all that. Then people who are managers in the reserve under 23s, under 21s, 18s, they've all got different styles of play. So when the kids come through, they're going to be behind because Dice plays totally different to the ones that are playing underneath them. So that's why Klopp, I think, works so well, and even Guardiola. You see the players that come in. You know, I was watching that Oscar Bob the other week. I think he just come from the. I don't know if he come from the reserves or whatever he did, but you watch him, he just suits the style of play. Do you know what I mean?
and
So I
you know
don't
what
know.
the other thing is, AJ. Sorry to cut across you, but the other thing is that it's academy football and they're playing academy football, and we all look at it and you all think, oh, he looks a great player, him, and he should be pushing in the first team. But we don't know. Are they good enough to make that step up? That's the other question that you have to ask yourself. Are these players good enough? Clearly. Dice is not soft. He'll be looking at it. He'll be looking at players and thinking, are they good enough to come into the team? Are they going to affect the team? Now, clearly, listen, Chimiti's clearly not shit. He's obviously on the bench. He's there for a reason. I know there's other kids there, but out of those other kids that sit on that bench, Chimiti's got more of a chance of coming on than other players, aren't they, that sit on there? And that's the bit that are they there just to warm the bench? Are they there for Dice to just give them that experience of being there, being in and around the first team, and seeing what's going on? It's an hard one, isn't it? And like I said, like I go back before, we was talking about players that are special. Rooney was just a fucking one-off. You know what I mean? He was a special player at such a young age. And and maybe Brandtwaite in that sort of mould. All right, I know different players, but what I'm trying to say is that these players that are like that, they're just special, and all you're doing is just improving their coaching levels, aren't they? And then there's other players that need a little bit, as I say, bit more coaching along. It's just an art. It's hard, and when you look at, we've been a struggling side for 3 years, and like I said, I don't think it's a good thing sometimes to bring some of these kids in because the confidence can just get fucking shot, can't it? Then all of a sudden, then whatever talent that they did have, it's fucking gone, hasn't it?
Yeah, you've got to remember as well though, like Rooney was a one-off. Like Brandtwaite's to come in, he played a couple of games a few years ago. Then he's gone out on. Then is that loan last year with PSV. He was playing up more or less every game for them that season,
Yeah,
and he was
yeah,
playing. Was it like I think it was at the Europa League as well. So he was playing European football as well. Dobbin has been out on a loan a few bit. Rooney's a different level altogether because he walks straight in, and
yeah.
like you said,
That's what I'm saying, Dan. Yeah, yeah,
these kids now to find out if they can cut it, they need a 12 months at a half
yeah,
decent like championship team.
yeah,
So like Dobbin done it in League One with Derby. Was it Derby? I think it was last year,
yeah.
wasn't it?
Derby, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Now, why not send him to, I don't know, let's say Burnley? It's local-ish. It's not like he's travelling to London for 12 months or Sheffield United or someone like that, and say to them, listen, he'll play. If he plays every game, he's gonna do well for you, and then we can see if he can cut it in the Championship, and then if he plays 25, 30 games in the Championship and he gets 1 goal and 1 assist, then we might turn around and say, all right, he's found his level. You know, he might not be. That Chelsea game might have just been a one-off. You know, it's the same with Sims. We threw Sims in at the deep end last year because we had nothing else, and then he played a couple, like 4 or 5 games, scored 1 goal, and everyone was going, "Oh, we need to give Sims a time. We need to give him a chance," and then slagging him off because he hadn't scored in 5 games.
Yeah.
But now he's got 15 goals. He's got 15 goals in his last 14 games or something.
And that's been the problem sometimes, that we just keep hold of some of these academy players too long.
Yeah.
You know, even I said it when Tom Davies was playing for us, right? That time when he made his breakthrough and he scored against City, he should have went out on loan after that.
Yeah.
But we hung our fucking hat on him and thought, do you know what, we've got someone special here, just on the back of a fucking goal that he scored against Man City. And I'm thinking, nah, I don't see it. And then we've seen it then, season after season after season. And listen, you know, whatever you say, you can't say the kid didn't love Everton, because he did. You know, and there's a video going around tonight where he's posted something on Twitter about fucking up the toffees and that, you know. So clearly loves Everton, but he was never good enough. But again, who's to say that he wasn't going to be good enough if Everton had to put him out on loan at the right time? And that's been, again, the fucking management of the academy again. You know, we hang on to these players for too long, some of these kids. You know, we've had other players that... Who was the kid that went out to Norwich? We ended up getting rid...
Kieran Dowell.
Dowell, yeah. You know what I mean? We all thought, again, what a player he was going to fucking be. And they clearly just don't make it to make that step up, do they? And like you say, going out on loan and getting that experience can only enhance their performance. And like you say, if they do go out on loan, because the Championships is probably... I'm not saying it's at the same level of the Premier League, but it's as close to it to get that experience, isn't it? You know, and like you say, if you only go out and score 1 fucking goal and that's it, then clearly you do then have to question it and say, well, are they good enough to make that step up into the Premier League?
I think you've got to look at some, like, I know it's looking at like other players, but you look at what loan signings have done for some players. Like years ago, like Aaron Ramsey and like Jack Wilshere went out on loan.
Yeah. Because Beckham went out on loan to Preston.
Because Wenger was like, I think you're going to be something special. I just need you to grow a little bit. You know, get a little bit more mature, get a bit more understanding of football. You know, Daniel, again, as much as I hate him, I do hate him, Daniel Sturridge. But he went on loan to Bolton for like 6 months, scored about fucking 14 goals in that 6-month period, and then come back to Liverpool and Chelsea and scored. You know, so we've got to give these kids chances. I think if we keep hold of someone like Chimity, I wouldn't mind putting him on loan, even if it's at a Prem team, or you know, one of these 3 that are going down. So he's like playing at the top level of the best. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. What you going to say, Jay?
Just going to say, someone just messaged me before as we're talking about no style of play and about what we've got. Tony's messaged me saying, Jay, Liverpool have been doing that for over 40 years, probably more. I played against their youth side, 84, 85. They played exactly the same as the first team then, passing the ball along the back like Hansen and Lawrenson. We've never really had a pattern. Even our best team in 85 was all blood and thunder and a mix of football, as well as the long ball. We're way behind now when it comes to this, and I just hope what Fran said before isn't a horrible bombshell on the way about the academy. Nice one, Toe.
Yeah, and listen, that's a fucking sad indictment of where we've become, innit? You know, because I always remember years ago, even like when the academy got up and running, even when the academy was down at Park Lane, you know what I mean? If you remember,
Yeah.
on the corner there at the lights off Dunnans Bridge Road, you know, everyone wanted to go to Everton's academy. Everyone, every fucking kid. You know, even like when I was coaching Billings with the kids and that, you know what I mean? We had scouts coming down, you know, they were always fucking, you know, everyone would say, even Liverpool, parents of Liverpool fans, you know, were saying, fucking hell, yeah, my lad's gone down to Everton's fucking academy, went down there, it's fucking brilliant. And now...
Dave as well, Jimmy's just messaged Jimmy Carty and he's just said, Jay, don't forget next season, mate. We've still got Diego Mope coming back.
He won't come back, him.
Hopefully someone buys him.
He won't come back. But what you've got to remember as well, was it about 4 or 5 years ago, that under-23s won the league twice in 3 years. And then I bet you couldn't name anyone from that starting 11 in any of them teams now, because you wouldn't know where they were. Apart from what? Maybe John Joe Kenny. I couldn't even tell you where he is now.
No, and that's the sad thing about it, isn't it? You know, the academy's just not. It's not grown, has it? You know, we go back to this whole jobs for the fucking boys thing within the club, and that's what's gone on. You know, you had Rhino running that academy, and by the sound of it, just running into the ground, because all he wanted to do was get chewed off by fucking Denise Barrett Baxendale, from what we can gather. And you know, he wasn't. I'm not saying that he wasn't asked, but I just think the whole complacency, as we said before earlier in the chat, it just needs a complete reset, doesn't it? Right from everything. You know what I mean? Obviously, here's Pablo. We'll let Pablo in here in a minute. I like Pablo, lad.
Evening, how are you?
All right, you?
Yeah, still buzzing from last night. Don't really want to talk about any negative stuff and things like that. But you know,
We're not being. Don't think we're trying to be negative. I think we're
No,
just
it's
talking about
realistic.
the
It's
state
realistic.
of where we are, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, it is realistic. I think Jack was saying earlier on about how well Dyche has done, and I think that's absolutely right. I think, yeah, you know, we all know that we're in a bit of a state, but I don't think until you go like behind the scenes, like I spoke to Julia Bold a few bits about it, and she's just like, I can't believe that people are having a go at Dyche she said when you actually see what he's doing and what he's got to cope with, because you've got to remember there's a complete void at the top of the club now. You know, there's no you know, ownership and you know the management team are in limbo the same as the rest of us, because you know they're just waiting for the new owners to come in as and when that happens, and whoever it might end up being. So there's this massive void, and I suspect that that Sean Dyche and Kevin Thelwell between them are doing a lot more than what they should and could and should be doing in a normal functioning football club, if you know what I mean. So I think what Jack said earlier on, bang on really. I think anyone that I get it, you know, it hasn't been great. There's been some awful performances, but you know, you can only work with what you can work with, can't you? And you saw last night, you know, what we can do when you get it when they get it right. So I think it's one of those situations really. I think big picture wise, I think the money's actually a lot worse than what people realise. So when you're talking about, you know, squad changes this summer and signings and all of this sort of thing, I think, you know, you really have to sort of think that we only have, you know, the bit of knowledge. I can't remember who it was said before about, you know, we're basing it on what we're seeing on the pitch, but you've got all the sports science sort of stuff going on behind the scenes, as well as to the figures that all of these lads are putting in training, and you know the weights and all of that, and every single aspect of their physique and everything is measured to the you know, to the minute detail and all that sort of thing. So you know, they and on the other side of thing, they know exactly what money is available. They know exactly what everyone's earning. They know exactly what they're. So when you go through, you know, your Gomez's and your Ganagays and your things like that, it's you know, it's very difficult for us as fans to actually take all of those things into account. We can only do it based on what we see on the pitch. And as I say, I think I agree with most of what people have said. There's quite a few people you'd probably say, well, he's not good enough for us. But if you look at the bank balance and you look at how much we're paying them, and you look at how much we could maybe renegotiate another year for them, then it might end up that, you know, players that we, you know, in an ideal world we wouldn't necessarily want to keep, means that maybe we have to keep them, because that's, you know, that's just the financial situation of it. And until we get new owners in, hopefully, that have got deep pockets, as was also mentioned earlier on, and start improving things like the academy and all of that sort of thing, because there's not really much coming through from the academy that we can see. So yeah,
Pablo, just sorry to butt in, just on that academy shout then. Someone just tweeted, they put a thing in the chat, and they tagged me in it, Dave. That's why I've just glanced at it. And they've said, just because you've touched on it, and yeah, I know no one really wants to say it, but they've heard the possibility of the academy setup being scrapped, which would be a big disappointment and a clear indication that we are literally looking at every option to cut costs. Have you heard anything, Pablo?
Well, I haven't heard anything about the men's academy. The women's academy was cut earlier this year, very, very quietly and very on the low down. Obviously, on the fan advisory board, we've got the rep from the Women's Supporters Club, and they talked to Alan McTavish, who was in charge of running the women's team, and there are a few of the girls' teams, and I've actually got a mate of mine personally whose daughter was at Everton's academy. I can't remember how old she is now, but I think she's like 12 or something like that. And they sort of got told at the beginning of the season, normally you have to sort of flag it up if another club's interested in you, and you have to sort of let them know that you're going to go and look or go for a trial or stuff like that. And he said the writing was sort of on the wall at the beginning of this season when they were sort of told that we didn't necessarily have to do that anymore. And then I think I'm not sure which ones that they scrapped, but certainly some of the girls' teams got scrapped due to cost cutting this season. So I don't know whether that automatically follows on that the men's academy is going to go the same way. Obviously, the finances involved are obviously a lot different on the men's side of things. And you look at the Samuel Smith and the Thierry Small and people like that we've sold from the academy over the last few years and got money for them when they've hardly even played for the first team. So. And I think if you look at the likes of Cole Palmer going from City as well, that's pure profit, and you've got to think about that with the PSR rules and things like that. That's pure profit for clubs and things like that. So it makes more sense for us to, for example, sell Ellie Sims than it does to sell Dominic Calvert-Lewin, because you paid a fee for Calvert-Lewin to get him in the first place. So yeah, I mean. Obviously, Fran earlier on was sort of alluding to something like that. He was saying that there's some news coming. So, yeah, maybe that is what it is. Maybe they are cutting down things on that side. But as I say, it's one of those situations where I think that I say without wanting to be too depressive after we're all on the high from last night, we don't really know what the financial situation is. We know that we owe a load of people a load of money. So whoever does come in, and whenever they do eventually come in, as I say, they're going to need really, really deep pockets to get us out of the hole that we're in already, and then to sort of build us up and go on,
Pablo, because you're talking about the fan advisory board that you're on there as well. Have you heard of any other people that have possibly been looking to take over the club? People share things about like Qataris and stuff like that. Is there anything being shared with yourselves?
I think not specifically. I don't think. I think it's we're the same rumours as others. I think myself personally, not speaking on behalf of the Fab, I think there probably is interest, but I do think that as far as Moshiri is concerned, he seems to be set on only talking to 777 at the moment. That might change, I don't know, but after 7-8 months, whatever it's been now, and rumours galore left, right, and centre about what's going on. It seems that, again, I'm not really I'm a bit of a financial and a business dunce. We've got other people on the Fab that are a little bit better than me, and I've got a few mates that I talk to in finance, and I think what their estimate of it was that basically 777 are offering him a few quid, and no one else is, because it's not really worth that much to anyone, because basically you're just buying a load of debt, and and why would you pay someone to take on all that debt? And 777 are offering him a few quid. I think that seems to be the main difference.
We had another question for you there. Sorry to put you on the spot with this, but there's one that came in and they asked us if there was rumours as well about the Indian billionaire. Was that just a load of lies, or have you heard any rumours on that?
About what? Sorry,
an Indian billionaire.
Well, again, I mean, I have heard the rumours. I think it's I can't remember what his name is now. It's not Ambani, is it? Something like that. I remember there was one that was there was a brother of the family that was interested in us, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago or something like that. I think his name's Ambani off the top of my head. But you never know whether these are just recycled old rumours or whether they're actual genuine ones. And I suspect that, the sort of people that know are people that are, sort of in high finance and that sort of thing. And, I'm not, so most of us aren't. And again, it's one of them. I think people sometimes think, well, they see someone who's been in for a football club before, and they'll say, "Well, yeah, I've heard that they're coming in just to try and, just to try and be first in." The same as with people trying to predict things and spread rumours. So no, nothing solid that I've heard, to be honest.
Yeah.
What did you want, Dan? Dan's just got his hand up. What did you want to say there, Dan?
I think what might happen is what happened with the likes of City. I think someone will come and take us once this ground's finished. I don't think anyone wants to come in and sort of get their hands dirty at the minute. You know what I mean? So they'll want to walk someone like a Saudi or a Yank or whoever will be like, no, get this all finished, so I don't have to put a penny into the ground, so I don't have to put a penny into this, like they done with City, because City got that ground through the Commonwealth, and then was it like 3 or 4 years later the Saudis came in because the ground was already done and dusted, so they didn't have to put a penny into that.
Yeah, that could be the case. I mean, the one thing that I think I probably can tell you, because most of it's out in the public anyway, is that we've been asking for a meeting with Mishiri for probably it's got to be about 6 weeks now, 2 months or something like that, where we first contacted him via the club, and he said that he was willing to meet with us, and they'd come back to us with some dates, and of course they didn't. So we went back to them again, and then we ended up writing an open letter. But we asked privately first, and then we published the letters. We wrote to Mashiri, 777, and the Premier League, all in the same week. And the response we got back from Mashiri to that was, yes, very happy to meet with you in the weeks after Easter, I think it said. And of course, Easter's come and gone, so we've been pressuring him on that. And I suspect that sounds to me like it's almost a little bit of stalling. I don't think he's really got the intention of meeting with us, and I think he's basically just stalling. I get the feeling, and there's just genuine no inside information on this whatsoever. I get the feeling that whoever is going to make the move is going to be when we're definitely going to be in the Premier League next year. I think once we're mathematically safe in the Premier League, I suspect that's when we might see things moving. Because you've got to remember that at various points throughout this season, we've had point deductions, and we've had appeals, and we've had this and we've had that. There's been so much uncertainty over it that I wouldn't be surprised if there'd been conditions in this and conditions in that. And until the definitive answer is actually known, then it might be hopefully then that we start to see something moving in whatever direction it is. But for me, I just want movement, because this limbo that we've been in for most of the season's absolutely killed us. I think it's been awful for us as fans, and I think it's been awful for everyone at the club as well, because that uncertainty. At least if you know something, and that's the situation, that's what's happening, you can cope with it and you can deal with it. But when you've got appeals and this and that, you might get these points, you might get those points back, you might get that, you might get that. It's an absolute circus,
That's the thing, isn't it, Pablo? I think the communication of the club and the link between the club and the fans is just completely non-existent. I keep saying it about Alan Myers. When Alan Myers was involved in the club, the interaction with the fans and him and the club was brilliant. Was never better. And for me, whoever eventually does come in and we do have a reset, he'd be the first one that I'd have in as for communications, because clearly, as we know, the elephant in the room, who's the fella came from the Echo. What he does is, I don't really know, because no one ever sees him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like Casper the Ghost. So for me, at the moment, that's the disappointment. Is, listen, us as fans, we don't need to know the ins and outs of everything that's going on within the club every day, but it's just like the noise is there's no noise. All the noise is just all the bad press, and we don't have anyone coming out and sort of counteracting that noise. You know what I mean? Or saying, listen, some of this is not true or whatever. You know what I mean? It's shocking, really, isn't it?
It is, and it has been awful, and we have told them that. But I think the thing you've got to remember is that the culture at the club at the moment is still very much of Mr. Kenwright and Mr. Mashiri, and that has been over the years. That has been to basically avoid answering awkward questions from the fans. It always has been, right the way through. So I went to AGMs and EGMs in the early 2000s, where it used to be that the smaller shareholders could actually call an emergency general meeting. And once we did a couple of those in the early 2000s, and we had the Chris Samuelson one and things like that, what you actually found was that Ken Knight changed the Articles of Association so that couldn't happen anymore. So if that sort of stuff's happening, you know that they don't like answering awkward questions, yeah. And then you come fast forward a few more years, and then Mishiri stops AGMs altogether. So they've clearly been avoiding answering questions. And then for me, the headlock gate was the worst thing that they've done in the 20 years that I've been sort of moaning about the top of the club and the way that it's been run. That for me was the final straw last January. And that's one of the reasons that I ended up, applying for the FAB and trying to, put my money where my mouth is when I've been moaning for 20 years about them. And the communication still hasn't improved. But what we're hoping is that obviously new folks come in and we get that, we get that improvement, and we're in a position as a fan advisory board to advise them, which is what we're supposed to be doing. What needs to change and what needs to be better from this regime to the next regime. So we've had a few people sort of having a go at us really for sitting on the fence about 777 and not coming out and thinking it, but we kind of have to really, because I've got in my head that at some point there's going to be a meeting where the existing people that are at the club are going to be handing things over to new owners, and I don't want them handing over and saying about the FAB, well, these lot are an absolute fucking pain in the arse. Don't give them anything. Don't tell them any information because they'll be this and that. So we have to sort of play it a little bit. We want them to be seen as being useful. These guys are useful. They tell us what the fans are thinking. They're proactive with the change. They clearly got the best interests of the club at heart, things like that. And that's how we want it to be handed over to the new owners, whoever they are. So we have to sort of play a little bit of a political game with it, really, where you have to just sort of, and there's nothing we can do about it anyway. Nothing any of us can do about it. Mishiri can sell his shares to whoever he wants as long as they pass all the tests. So we haven't really got a position on 777 for or against them, because we're the same as everyone. We just have to wait and see what happens, because at the end of it, we want the fan advisory board to still be in a position where it can interact with the club and help them to improve. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah, no, sounds. Listen, we're gonna wrap it up there now, because obviously I think we've only really wanted to do a bit of a short space, and I'm
Been a
fucked
long
because I
day,
didn't
Dave,
get in
Bannock.
till from 7:30, fucking 5 hour drive, so
Yeah.
I'm done in. But no, it's been all right. That's been good tonight, and obviously we just a quick mention about. I know obviously we use the other platform, and thanks for coming on, Pablo and Dan. It's been good there, lads. So. But obviously, we just want to mention about obviously the playback and what we've been doing over the last few weeks, which a lot, we've had some really good feedback with it, and people have enjoyed coming onto it because you can interact and all that, which is really good. So, listen, we just want to put it out there again. Look, download the app; it's free. Just become a member. We're still doing it on the Monday night, and there is the recordings are on there as well. At the moment, the recordings are only on, not on the app, but they're on the if you go on the website and just put your login details, you can still go in and see it there, and they are there. They have told me that they've had a couple of little snags just getting it back onto the mobile side of the app, but you can hear them all now. You can hear the recordings if you just go through the website itself, and they're all there. And it's just on our page. So
Yeah.
look, if you haven't, just download it. Doesn't cost you anything. And I think, as I say, and the feedback's been pretty good. Everyone seems to like going on it, and it's the interaction more than anything that's a little bit better than what
Yeah.
it is on here, isn't it?
It's great. You know what I mean? If you can, go and download and it is very good with the interaction side of things. And
Yeah.
before we finish, Dave, as well, just want to mention two big boxers fighting the weekend, Peter and Joe McGrath.